Welcome back to another live video training. We're going to be covering residential assisted living and also independent living. It's like a little added bonus. I've been getting a lot of people, since I've been coming on here live saying, hey, talk a little bit more, get into a little bit more detail about residential assisted living and what it takes to find a property, how to get started. How did you find your first property? How did you get your first clients? How did you secure your first property is the number one question. And how do we continue to secure properties going forward? So obviously you can't, in most states, people don't understand that, but you can't get no license. You can't get a license, assisted living license without having a property. Some people think that they can get a license before you get the property, just go register and something like that. In most cases, in most states, the states license the property. So you can't get started until you have a home. The property is what is licensed and certified as an actual assisted living facility, personal care home, or whatever they call it in your particular market. And there's multiple different ways that you can get a property. Like I said, that's the number one question that I get most people looking to do assisted living is how do we get a property? How do we get a property? What do we do? So you could buy a property. Obviously, you can lease a property, and you can partner with other property owners. Whether they're people who just are interested in partnering and starting a business with you. They could be landlords, guys, people who already are in the real estate investment field, and you partner with them, tell them about your niche, what you're able to do with a particular property, get them paid. You always want to, make the best situation for everybody. So usually your approach would be in that situation to let them know that, you want to lease the property with low impact tenants from them, and start an assisted living business, and you'll be able to pay more rent and have a longer lease time, and do the lease, less impact on your property with this business, if they partner with you. So leasing, buying, going through the traditional way of getting a property. If you never bought a home before, you could use your first time home buyers. You can your local first time home buyers program in your market and go through the program, get the state, the city, the county to help pay for your deposit. If you have 630 credit score and you've been at your job for at least 3 years, or you could get 630 credit score really, by just paying off a few things and getting a nice bounce, getting a nice pop by just getting, doing a few things, and you can afford to do that. Chances are you ready to buy a house, you just don't know it. A lot of people just, because they don't have family members and people in their immediate circle who bought homes. And like me, I grew up in, apartment complexes and just renting my whole life. I never really knew how to buy property until, I got a lot older and started dealing with other people. But purchasing real estate wasn't something my family was doing when I was coming up. We were just barely trying to make sure we had rent, just so we could, So I know a lot of people who out here watching this, they probably never been in like me, they never been in a network or a situation where people are always talking about it. So we just don't know what to do. And then there's a lot of apprehension because we feel like we should know, but we don't know, so we don't say nothing. So let me tell you, if you've been at your job for at least 3 years, stable, even if it's not the same job, but you've been stably employed for at least the last 3 years, you got all 3 checks. I mean, tax forms for each year, all your tax returns for each year, 630 credit score, your check stubs from your last 2-3 months, and it's all consistent with your bank account and everything is together, and you got a 630 credit score, I would suggest, and if you don't know anybody, I have a mortgage broker that can probably help you out. If you have these simple things in place, we can help you get a property. And right now it's a really good time to buy a property. I don't know what the market is doing, but I see, a lot of people finding some good deals out there and closing on property. So don't think because you've been renting for the last for your whole life or your whole adult life since you've been living on your own that you can't easily convert it into owning a property. And another thing you got to realize, 9 times out of 10, that mortgage is going to be less or extremely close to your rent that you're paying now for the most part. Before I bought my first home, when I rented out my last home, because I didn't buy immediately when I started, when I was able to, I was still renting. I was still accustomed to renting. And my rent was like, my rent was $1,700 a month because we had we were renting a 4-bedroom house in a pretty decent community in Pasadena, Maryland. And it was $1,700 a month. It was nice, but it wasn't mine. Great community, big yard, everything was beautiful. It was nice, but we were paying $1,700. And then this is the house that I was in when I bought my first house. So that's why I'm bringing it up. When we bought the first house, the mortgage was like a little bit less. It was like 16 something. So it was like, damn, I could have been all these years I'm giving all this money to these landlords. Obviously we all know that, but it's like you thinking like, damn, all this time I could have been owning the property. My mortgage payments could have been equity payments. That's how we look at mortgage payments as equity, because you just putting that into the property. That's equity building up, and it's great for your credit. Having a home on your credit is very good for your credit. A home when your mortgage is current and stuff like that is very good for your credit, and like we did, our intentions going into the first property was to convert it into an assisted living. So we were already up on game. And then the property that we were living in, the 1750 we was paying, that's the property that we converted into our first assisted living, because we had already we developed a relationship with the landlord who we were renting from, who we were renting his house from him, a guy who we found this, he contacted us to help. We take care of his mother. So he was our client. We took good care of his mother. In the midst of us taking care of his mother, I guess the conversation had came up that we were, in the process of moving and we were looking for another house. We had, we were getting a bigger house and we wanted to get into a better community. And he was like, hey, look, I got the house right here, right down the street from my house. So long story short, he had a house. He was a brother, great brother, great guy, had a good government job. So he had a couple properties, and he had his mom's property, he had his property, and he had this extra empty property he used to live in before he built his new house. And he said we could use that property to rent from him. Eventually we had that conversation turned into, can we rent this house out, partner with you, and do assisted living? Because he already knew we were in the industry. He knew about our business, model. He seen how good we took care of his mom. He was interested, open to the idea of us converting that particular property into a assisted living. That's how we got our first property. That's how we did it. We moved into our new home, and the property that we were leaving, we had developed a relationship and got into an agreement, a contractual relationship that we got a lawyer to draw up the contracts for the lease for the assisted living. So it wasn't your normal rental situation. And we worked it out. We made sure we had, he wanted $1,700 for his property. So that was understood. But hold on one second, I'm sorry. But obviously we were trying to do it. We were trying to have a long-term business relationship with him. So we offered him more than market rent, because we wanted to, and we let him know, like, look, this is not going to be no regular tenants. We're not going to be putting no kids in here and stuff like that. we're going to put seniors in here, and they're going to have a staff. You know, caregivers, we always we always like to have a living caregiver or two if we can on site to live there the entire time. You know, except when they take breaks and vacation and stuff like that. But so we were able to put 5 people in his home. We told him, so the arrangement was like this, and I'm gonna make it real brief so I can, I'm gonna explain it real brief, and then we're gonna get into the detail, some of these bullet points on how we did that first situation. We owe you $1,700. We're gonna pay that no matter what, whether we don't have no clients, no clients. That's the base pay that we're gonna pay you, $1,700 a month going forward. Okay. Each resident, so this was the agreement. Each resident that we bring into his home, we agreed to another $250, another $250 a month. So when we got 2 clients, that was another $500. When we got the 3 clients, that was another $750. There's four clients, now he getting $1,000 extra on top of the money. 5 clients, $1,250. So he can get, so on top of his $1,700 at full capacity, he's going to get $1,250 on top of his $1,700. But the catch was, and this is what I wanted him to agree to with us. So when we lose a client, that goes back down. If we lose 2 clients, it goes down. And then when we get another client move back in, then you start getting your $250 again. So it was like, we were paying extra because we were making more off each room and just giving him the bonus or the added value of having a assisted living opposed to just renting it out to just any regular people. And we asked for a 5-year lease, minimum, because we don't want to get families in here, start doing this marketing, build this branding around his home, and then we in a 1-year lease, now it's over with, now we got to leave or renegotiate the lease, and that happened not in the 1 year, but when the lease was up, he wanted to renegotiate the lease because he had a licensed house. He we own the business, he owned the property, but he still felt like he wanted more. And that's how people get, like, y'all making money, I want more now. Like, he don't want what we agreed to, he want more. And I understand that it's business. And, obviously that's how people are. And it's our decision that we want to stay with him or work with somebody else or whatever. But this was a great opportunity for us to get a property that we didn't have to go into the world and buy and come up with deposits and things like that. And then the next property was the property we actually worked for and put the deposit down, went and got a first-time home buyers program and converted that property the same way. And that's how we did it. So we used the conventional way, a landlord partnership. And then now we're doing all kinds of stuff. I'm working with nurses. If you're a nurse and you own a piece of property, or you looking to get into the business, why I say nurses, because sometimes they got good income and pretty decent credit, and they reach out to me and they say, hey, look, I want to do this assisted living. I don't got the time, this and that. But I want to work with you. I want you to come in and help us get set up. So we have properties and situations where we work with individuals like that. I have private investors, people who want to do this business, but again, they don't have the time, but they do have assets, they have properties, they have resources and funding to where they can go buy something, we can staff it, we can get it set up, we can get it licensed, and we'll do a partnership based on the arrangement around something like that. These type of arrangements can easily be made going into, like, when you think about the real estate investors associations, the REIA clubs, the meetup groups and stuff like that, where there are investors who congregate, who are always looking for different ideas and different strategies to grow their real estate portfolio. So you come in there with this niche, with this way of this real estate opportunity with them, you partnering you're bringing the knowledge. What you're bringing to the table is specialized knowledge on how to convert a property into an assisted living community. That's what you're able to do now. Hold on one second. I got my brother. He's about to get on the highway, and he need confirmation that I'm available. Let me let him know. Okay, let's get back to it. I'm sorry about that. So those are different ways that you could definitely get into the business, get into the industry without having, without having your own property right up front in the beginning. That's a great way to do that. What we're offering with the senior care business bundle, the ultimate senior care business bundle is a assisted living startup kit with everything you're going to need to get started. And one of the things that's in there is the business plan. And we all know what a business plan is for. Most of us know, if we are on here today, we understand at least one thing, that a business plan is necessary to get your whole vision and idea for where you're trying to go with your business, and what you're trying to do on paper. It's good to have that going forward. It's definitely important to have that when you're thinking about getting investors, reaching out to these other landlords and things like that. If you're not going to do have your own properties and do it yourself, just finding, even if you do have, get a property or one or two or three or however many you can get, you're on your own, it's still wise, because there's always going to be a limit. It's always wise to partner up, create the document, at least have the business plan in place. So as you do your own thing, when you do want to grow and get a little bigger and do more, if that's what you're trying to do, you'll have that document to guide you and to present to potential partners and things like that. So I didn't mean to go back. Sorry about that. So the business plan is very important. Getting trained up with, as far as what the state required training is. Just go to your Department of Health, your website, your Department of Health, contact them, or you should find it on their website. What's the requirements to set up an assisted living? Most states have a licensing requirement, what consists of training. In Maryland, it's an 80-hour training, so you definitely want to take that. And you not only just want to take the first training that you find. A lot of times people are going to community colleges and things like that. I think that's probably a great way, because it's more of a learning environment, and they might be a little bit more thorough than some of the other people who offer those trainings in your state, like independent nurses and people like that, who are licensed and certified to do the training, but aren't maybe as thorough as you need them to be, so you can get the information and be informed enough to go out there in the community and get started and start your own. So that's the thing. Most of the states training is based on just being a manager. That's usually just how to be a manager, manage the facility, but they don't go into a broader business side of it, and they'll leave a lot of that out, or they won't have that information in period anyway, because they're just training you to be the manager, not to be the business owner. So there is some differences there. And when you do go around and start looking for different people who can teach you this stuff, who can provide this information to you, you can ask these questions. How far do you go into the business side? I know we're going to learn, we're going to get the training to manage the management side, but how far do you dig off into the business side, because you're personally looking to start your own, not just be a manager. So that's it when it comes to finding a requirement. So let me know if you guys can hear me. I'm not getting any feedback. I'm not getting any comments or anything like that. Just do a thumbs up, something, so I can, keep going and make sure everything is working and you guys can hear me. Because when I get to talking, I'm not really looking at, the comments. So let me know if you guys can still hear me. We still on, and we can keep going. Okay, good. There we go. I'm getting some thumbs up, so you guys can hear me. Good. Share it. Tag some friends. Let's get some questions in here. Post some questions, comments, anything. Just let me know. Let's give me some engagement so we can feed off each other and get through this presentation. I really want you guys to get this. It's Friday. I want you to go into the weekend with some inspiration and some information on and to start making some steps towards your visions and your goals. So that's pretty much what I want you to think about when it comes to state required training, not just jumping at the first one. And if you do find someone that's not like institutional, like that doesn't have like a really good setup, or they might be kind of low budget and doing it on their own, just make sure they're equipped with giving you the information to come to start as an owner, or you feel confident that you can get that from them. And if not, just keep looking around. Don't go with the first person, because once you get the license, you'll get the license. And this is what happens all the time. I get a lot of people who get the license and they still don't know how to get started. You a manager, you actually a manager, but you don't know what to do because you didn't get the business training of it. You don't know the real estate side of it. You don't know how to acquire property. You don't know how to run a business. You don't know how to hire and things like that. And because they're just teaching you how to be a manager, they're not teaching you how to run a business and start an assisted living facility. So you definitely want to make sure you got one that's very equipped with and have a great understanding, and hopefully they have their own as well. That's another thing. Try to find managers a manager training program who the person actually owns their own facility as well. So you're not learning from somebody who, or based on their theory, something that they actually did on their own. They actually set it up on their own. So the property, the site, what are some of the things you want to think about when you're getting a property? For me, I want no less than 4 bedrooms, no smaller than 1,500 feet, and no in each room no smaller than 80 square feet. For single rooms, for the rooms that we could potentially put 2 people, 1 person in, got to be at least 80. So no room could be less than 80 square feet. And if we're looking at rooms to the double rooms that we can put semi-private, so we want at least 2 rooms that are at least 130 square feet, so we can put 2 people in there comfortably with all their furniture. And then we also like to have a separate living quarters, whether that's going to be in the like in the upstairs area, maybe like an in-law suite or attic. This finished attic, that you can actually live in and stuff like that, or the basement. And that's what, because we always like to have on-site living staff. It's just when it comes to staff and things like that, it makes things real, simple when you have a staff member who's committed to, the position, who actually lives there. And it's a quick side note. You want to, the caregivers, my caregivers, they fight for those living positions because they know it's not, I ain't gonna say it's easy, but they want those positions. You're gonna get free room and board. You're gonna get to eat. You get everything, all your living, all your house expenses are basically paid for. Because you're living in the facility, you living in the community. Food, all your living, food, all that stuff is included. You have your own living space, things like that, and they get a pay rate. And what I like to have as a, as a bonus to them, and as a peace of mind for myself, is I want to get them trained as the assistant living manager as well. So even if I'm on paper as the manager, or one of my partners may be on the paper as the manager, you still have to have an alternate manager. That means you have to have an assistant manager in case you're not available. What better person to make the assistant manager than the live-in caregiver? They get the opportunity to get more pay because we can put more tasks on them, less things that we have to do. And from the managerial perspective, she has the training, so she can do what we can do. We put them through the training, and also we're continuing to further that training about teaching them how we do it. So they have the opportunity to live there, get the pay rate as the caregiver, as a living caregiver, get the daily rate for that, but then also they get the monthly salary rate as an assistant manager. And so that's what I said. They all, like, when those positions come available, I get those to like the best caregivers that we have. Like I present those opportunities to them first. And if they don't want it, like, everybody doesn't have everybody can't do a living. So it's just not anybody can do that. You have to be in a certain part of your life where you're not needed at another home by a family or kids or something like that, or relationship barriers and things like that. Not saying that you can't have relationships, they can't have company and things like that, but it's just not the type of environment, that you're gonna have a separate family, y'all just living and doing your own family thing. It's not that. And we make that very clear as well when they apply, or we present them with that opportunity. So this is what you want to think about as far as the criteria. Like I said, the square footage, the sizes, and then the neighborhood. You want to make sure you're just in a great community, the best community you can afford. The best community you can afford. That's usually what you want to do. Um, Assisted living it's a real estate strategy, and when it comes to real estate, it's all about location. So that's going to determine. That's like if you were buying a property to rent it out, how where you buy it at is going to determine how much you can rent it out for. And assisted living is no different. In certain communities, you can get, no more than 25, 27, $3,000 a bed. That's just probably the top in some areas. The most that you can get. And then in the other areas, as the neighborhoods increase, and with the values and stuff like that, the least you could get in specific areas is 4,000, 4,500 and up. When we start thinking about like these upper middle class communities, where people are getting, they converting mini mansions into assisted living facilities, and they're charging 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, $15,000 a bed, and a month. And a lot of people think, like, when they hear that, they're like, man, that's not real. That's not, that doesn't seem real, or that doesn't even seem right. Like, why are they charging these people so much money? When you think about it, it's just like anything else. Why do people drive, Maybachs and Ferraris, and why do people buy multi-million-dollar homes? Like, it's the life that they choose to live, and they've created some kind of way, however they've done it, the finances to support that lifestyle. And they had a lifestyle like that going all the way up until now. They're going to continue it on in their golden era, their golden age, and continue to live at that high level with a lot of benefits, a lot of features, a lot of bells and whistles, and a lot of accommodations. So this thing can go as far as you want to take it, and whatever community you can get access to, whatever community you can put your facility in, you're going to get those residents that live in that community are going to be the ones that will be interested in being in that home. And that just depends on the value of the neighborhood and things like that. So um, it says sketch of the house. So I guess when I was doing this checklist here, these are just some of the things that you have to have for yourself and for your business. I mean, for your license, business plan. The state requires you to have a business plan most cases, which we provide you in the senior care business bundle. State requires you to get the training, so you get the training. We just talked about how to best go about getting the training. Your home, the site, home owned or lease verification. When I say that, the on the license during the licensing process, part of your documentation, you got to send in proof that you own that property or you have it under lease. So you got to send a signed lease to the with your paperwork, or you got to send a proof that you own the property. Proof of that you own the property, that's your property, the deed, or the tax information, whatever your state will require. Then you got to do a sketch of the house. Usually what the state wants is a hand-drawn sketch of each room in the property, with the actual square footage of each room. So it's just basically like a sketch you'll see like on a fire escape, like a fire escape plaque, when they got all the rooms and where to go. It's similar to that. So you just write out each room. Just take a ruler and a pencil, and once you measure the rooms, all the rooms, you just draw it out, and like you start off with a big square, and you don't got to get all detailed and be drawing your furniture and nothing like that. Just some squares and some doors, and just where things are with this with it notated, like this is the living room, this is the kitchen, this is the bathroom, this is room 1, room 2, room 3. These are the square footages on each room. So usually that's what they want. And then zoning, you might have to deal with zoning. Zoning is usually just dealt with through your county website. Most cases you ain't gonna have to have that problem, or if they do, you could go get some simple little permit, and it's usually no big deal, because we not doing nothing. We're not usually, it's still considered a residential community. It's a residential business, a residential home. So they don't usually require any zoning changes or anything, because the properties, if you go in there trying to build a 20-40 bed unit, and you about to tear down some properties and things like that, you're dealing with a whole nother different animal. But when you're just converting single family homes, and getting 5, 6, 7, 8 residents, usually zoning isn't an issue, but you still want to double check, especially if that's a state requirement. Fire inspection report. How do you get the fire inspection report? You just call the local fire department, ask for the chief, tell him what you need. He'll send somebody out. He'll do an inspection. You tell them what you need an inspection for. They're used to getting these calls because they do it for the state. They know the state requires the inspection. So when you call them and say this is what you're calling for, they usually know what you're talking about, and then they come out and do the inspection for you. They're looking for smoke detectors. They're looking for smoke detectors. They're looking for carbon dioxide. They're looking for safety routes that make sure all the windows are, your windows have to be a certain size. So if it's a fire, they can get out the windows, making sure the exits and things like that have, exit signs. You have fire extinguishers on each level in any utility rooms. Everything, the locks and stuff are working. So nobody's going to get locked in, and, the windows work. What else did he check for? The smoke detectors have to be high up, at a certain height. They can't be like, you can't just put, the regular stuff. It's all basic, but they're gonna come through, and then they'll give you you'll get your report. Boom, you pass or you fail. And usually I don't know how you could fail unless you just not trying to start an assisted living. Like it's the basic stuff. There's a fire extinguishers. Oh, and then when you get your fire extinguisher, they got to get the date. You got to have a date for when it's purchased, and you have to have that date with the fire extinguisher. So what we do, we just take the receipt, tie it up, and put it with the we tie it to the fire extinguisher. So when the state comes, so like when they do the survey, or when the state do pop-ups, because the state will do pop-up visits, just knock on your door, and your assisted living manager better be ready. That's why we want somebody always on site. If they're not there, they better be able to get there and answer them people's questions. Sometimes they come unannounced, and sometimes they call and schedule appointments. But either way, you want to be ready, and and that's usually it. That's where the state requirements come in, with the fire inspection. That's just another thing that you have to have squared away. Let me look at the comments here. We got a few comments before we go to the next question. Okay. Okay, Amanda said like a blueprint. Yeah, I think you're talking about the blueprint. When I was talking about the sketch of the property, it don't even got to be that complicated. Just a couple square, just some squares with the titles. With the names of each room, notated, and then the square footage, and that's it. Do you have to have a license for this? Tracy Dillard. Yeah. And I mean, that's what we covering. We're talking about assisted living, and usually the property is licensed, not the owner and the property is licensed. The property and the owner are licensed for the owner to manage the assisted living in that particular property. So I'm saying it like that because I want you to understand, just because you get a license at this particular property don't mean you can go take the license to another particular property, because they're licensed at that particular property only. So those are some of the things you want to think about as well. Oh, but that's it. Do we have any more questions? I don't see anybody tagging anybody or sharing the feed. Who shared? Do we got any sharers on here? Anybody sharing? And have you guys considered or thought about the Ultimate Senior Care Business Bundle opportunity that we got out there for Black Friday, Cyber Monday, where we're giving away the best-selling home care business kit ever in the nation, which is the Business in the Box. That's included. Customized home care business plan, that's included, is valued at $197. The Business in the Box valued at $297. Add these numbers up. Customized home care policies and procedures valued at $297. Assisted living business startup kit valued at $497. Customizable assisted living business plan valued at $497. Customized assisted living policies and procedures valued at $297. A copy of the best-selling book, the best-selling. I'm working, my friend. Okay, I'm working right here. Okay, no problem. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. That's one of my contractors. So a copy of the best-selling high performance planner. I'm throwing that in there. And then there's some notes there. If you need an administrative add-on, so you want us to do a step specifically for your state for you, you can add that to it. But your total price for all these programs using the this Black Friday Cyber Monday deal is $197. I'm giving you all that for $197. As you can see, just in the slide before this, how important it is to have that business plan, that assisted living business plan. So yeah, that's it. I just wanted to make sure you guys was aware of that while we on here. I'm gonna keep going. Let me check a couple more things. Then I'm gonna get back to it. We're gonna cover this stuff here. Let me close this door in case they come in here screaming again. Getting some repairs done. So that's it. Let me get back to it so I can see y'all's questions, and we're gonna get back to this training here. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this. I feel really good about it, and I've been setting the time aside for it. People are really, what happens is I get a lot of calls on the back and behind the scenes. A lot of people call me and ask me questions and tell me how much they appreciate it, and that just made me want to do it again. So when you guys tell me you appreciate it, it brings me back. It makes me want to set time to the side, teach this stuff, and give you guys everything I can to make sure you guys, can get it done and win at this stuff. So that's it. Let's get back on it. Some more things that you want to have in place going into the beginning stages of your licensing for your assisted living is you want to have a menu cycle. The state requires it, and if the state don't require it, I would still want to have it in place because food is very important, and having a menu in place and a great dietitian who can guide you through that, prepare your menus for whatever circumstances each resident has. So we're not just feeding you anything. We're going to feed you the best diet based on what your needs are. If you have, whatever dietary needs that your doctor says or your dietitian says or your family feels is best for you, and even, the patient, the resident, they can communicate based on what they're telling us, we're going to consult a dietitian and put together the best meal plan for that particular person. And when you start thinking about things like this, providing them with the highest quality food, everything is organic. Every food we get, we don't bring in food that's not organic. All our water is filtered or bottled. They don't drink. So these are some of the things that we tell the families, and the families want to know, like, when it comes to diet, like what are you guys feeding? Like this ain't no chow hall, this ain't no mess hall, this ain't no slop. Like no, they getting high quality food, made, cooked by the people who got great cooking abilities, and the meals are and the meal plans and the menus are created by a dietitian, and it's all portions. So we have a menu cycle, meal plans, and different menus. I have about 10 or 15 different menus just based on different needs. So if you have heart disease, diabetes, you got you carbs, you got a weight problem, or you're not gaining weight fast enough, protein. We got high protein diets. We got every diet, fibers, like not just somebody saying, "Oh, okay, your fiber or this." No, we got each menu was created by a dietitian or nutritionist for these particular reasons, and this is part of the presentation when we telling families like what they can expect and what they're going to get, what their families are going to be receiving. That's why it's important to have that menu structure and that menu cycle in place so you can man, who is calling me? Wow. I hope you guys can hear that. I thought I turned everything off. One second. I think that's my other computer across the room ringing. I'm about to fix that though. One second. How you guys liking the information so far? Is it helpful? Is it something that you guys can use? and take, you feel like you could take it and use it in the future or in the now, I want you to take action immediately. Okay, staff structure. I like to have great information, very helpful. Good. Appreciate y'all, sisters. When it comes to the staff structure, we like to, I like to have, so like this, like I was saying earlier, I always want to have, so these are the people that you have to have. You need to have a delegated nurse, an assisted living manager, an alternate manager, and caregivers. Caregivers have to have med certifications. They have to be med techs, and every state don't require med. They don't even have that certification, but in Maryland they do, and a lot of other states they have where they have the med tech certification, so you can pass meds. You know, so those are the people you're going to need: your manager, your alternate manager, your delegating nurse, and your caregivers. That's it. That's the staff. How do I do this? We already do home care. We already got a nurse. So she just goes to the properties. You know, as we get new properties, we just put her on the application. This is our delegate nurse. And what does she do? She does assessments before they come, you know, when they come, and then the state required 45 days, but then she also does what we require for our standards is weekly, bi-weekly visits. So if you're not, even if you're not scheduled to see a nurse or anything, we try to have a nurse come in twice a month, every other week. And then also you get your 45-day state required assessments, so we can, keep your records and stuff updated in your condition, whether you're doing well or declining. There has to be some kind of, it's all about record keeping at that point. That's what your nurse is there for. The administrator, the manager, if this is your first one, and then any one that you get in the future, I always say you be the manager. You manage your assisted living. You the manager. You're the primary manager. So you take the course. You learn how to run the day-to-day operations. You know how to do the documentation. You know how to deal with the safety. You can manage the whole property. You don't just want to go hire somebody, and then you got to pay them if you hire somebody. That's like a salary job, even though it's not like a day job. They don't have to check. They don't have to come to work every day, but they do have to be available, and there should be some type of hours set for them. That should be you, and then if it's not you, you're gonna have to hire somebody, and then you have to get an alternate manager. Why? Because we need an alternate manager in case. Why do you need an alternate manager? In case you're not available, in case you're out of state or something happens and you just can't do it. The state they still want to be able to communicate with a manager of that facility no matter what. The other person may or may not be available. They still want to talk to a manager. They don't want to just have, the manager's not available, all we can talk to is some random caregiver and the patient. No, they always want to have somebody available to, be responsible for that facility. You know what I mean? So you get the alternate manager. Your alternate manager, like I said, I like to make that my live-in caregiver. That makes the most sense to me. Giving that caregiver the opportunity to learn new things, have more responsibilities, and get more money. And you live there, you're on site. So that's a win-win. It helps me manage the stress. If I know a manager is on site, somebody who's been through the proper, or the traditional training, whatever the state requires, but then also our training on what we do. So we're making sure they're trained in a way that I can sleep at night knowing that they're there on the job at that property. And then caregivers. same thing. You know, we talked about caregiver recruitment yesterday, and if you're doing home care or you've been in the industry for a while, it shouldn't be that hard to find some great caregivers who love what they do. But I will also always think of um, putting a caregiver in there full time, and then also, I mean, depending on the community, like the residents, the residents' needs and what their needs are, would depend on how many caregivers I'm gonna get. Obviously, the one caregiver, even though she live there, she live and she can't do everything. So you still want to have, again, it depends on how many clients you have and what the needs are. At least have someone at the very minimum, you have the living caregiver who's your alternate manager, but then you also could have a caregiver coming in, 4 to 6 hours a day to support her throughout the day, because she does have to have a private time, a private life, and be able to do things that she needs to do. So living, a lot of clients don't understand this, and I mean, I don't know if you guys who are on this call today are been in work at different facilities and stuff like that. But um, I mean, have you ever did live-in case? I'm sorry, worked at a live-in case. A lot of the clients think because they live there, they got access to them for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It don't work like that. The majority, and I'm, we don't let our caregivers work more than 13 hours a day, regardless of if they live there or not. You got to get 6 hours of uninterrupted sleep, 8 hours of rest, and you got to get some private time. So a live-in doesn't necessarily mean they about to be up like crazy people just doing everything all day every day. They get their rest as well, but they're the ones that kind of dictate you know the care needs of the house, what's going on, kind of the schedule and what she wants to do. But then you want to have somebody who can come in and assist with like meals, possibly, definitely activities, definitely running errands if need be. Um, that second caregiver, that could be their job. Their thing could be, hey, we want you to just come in and just do to make sure everybody gets their daily activities, their needs met as far as their activities, whether you're going to play some games with them individually, do some running, do some errands, taking them out, running them wherever they got to go, taking them to the senior centers, whatever, that whatever they may need, and then meals, and then light housekeeping, and whatever they may need during that day, they can help with that as well. That second part-time, or 4 to 6 hour a day caregiver could come in and help with that as well. Getting three caregivers, a live-in caregiver and a full-time caregiver. So like a live-in caregiver and a 40-hour hourly caregiver every week can handle most of what needs to be handled in a facility with 6-7 residents or less. Believe it or not, they can handle that pretty well. Like I said, if the full time, I'm not talking about the part-time situation, the full time, and if you have 7-8 residents, usually eight is like usually the most I'm gonna put in one property, because of the requirements in Maryland and the counties that I like to deal with. After you go to 8, they just start tripping and want you to do different things, and they just regulate it different. So 2 girls can really handle that. But there are different circumstances to where you might need a third person, because there might be a particular resident that needs more than everybody else. So regardless of what those needs may be, you just want to make sure that they're getting what they need, and it's not taken from other client needs or whatever needs to happen in the home, in the facility, in the community. So somebody just said, is there a ratio? But it's more like when you're talking about 8 people or less, what's the ratio? Two caregivers, what's that? 4 to 1? That's great, right? 2 caregivers, 1 caregiver for 8, 4 to 1. No, two caregivers, 4 to 1. So it's like that's excellent. And I'm not, most of the people in assisted living don't need one-on-one attention every second. That's just not usually the case. And if you do have those clients with those excessive needs, they're going to be paying extra so you can afford to staff them, give them extra care. And they're going to pay for it. It's going to be built into the budget. So those are the things that you're going to need. Workman's compensation. The state of Maryland allows you to use independent contractors, so you can send them so the state of Maryland allows you to send a workman's comp exemption form. So you just send them and say, hey, look, we don't need this. This goes with your license. We don't need workman's comp because all of our caregivers are are independent contractors. So you just send that and then that's it. So you can just have independent contractors. Or if you want to do licensed caregivers, salary caregivers, you get workman's comp. And you just get workman's comp from a local insurer in your community. Let me tell you something right now. Workman's comp is extremely high right now because of COVID. So you just want to be careful. Even the minimums are high. So you just want to make sure you're working with somebody, an insurance company that knows what they're doing, and they're not price gouging and just trying to take advantage of the current environment. Because the state puts out the minimum, so you just let them know what you're doing, and they'll give you a quote you on the minimums. And then you do the application, obviously, pay a fee, and we already discussed the delegated nurse. Maryland actually discontinued the fee, so now it's free. And then they also expedited the process. So now the process is where you used to have to wait 6, 10, 8, 12 months for a license. In Maryland, now you can get it in less than 2 months. So, and that's, again, this is all due to COVID at this point. So if you're on here, you're in Maryland or whatever state you're in, go check your state's websites to see if you are eligible if they are expediting their licensing process, because that will give you obviously more motivation to get started quicker. Because you could get a house and get a license and be up and running, making money quicker than if you had to wait, like most people have been doing, prior to the system, the COVID stuff with the licensing process. So, yeah, let's get to some questions here and keep it going. Okay. Can you get grants? That's something you want to definitely check out through this SBA, your local SBA, your SBA, then the SCORE offices, every office, SBA, Small Business Administration, got a lot of offices, and they're like SCORE mentor programs and stuff like that. So that's not a bad question, especially right now with these grants and stuff. We're all aware of the trillions of dollars that they put into the economy because of COVID, like through all these different business grants, loans, payroll protection, all this stuff. There's also loans out there, there's grants out there, and there's loans that you can get forgiven for with your business. Reach out to somebody in your community, your accountant, start out. And if you don't have an accountant, you can always go to the SBA. They have accountants that they know work with small businesses and entrepreneurs. Start there, tell them you need an accountant, tell them you want some information on what's available through the, this new pandemic, these pandemic funds, and how you can access it as a small business. because people are doing it. Just a quick, I'm not just saying that. People have reached out to me. People have spent money with me because that they got from their PPE, the pandemic money. And one lady said she got a loan from the liquor company Hennessy. They have a business loan. So I don't know. It didn't even make sense to me. And I don't know how she found out about it, but she said it's a lot of companies out here that are giving small businesses stipends and just grants and small loans of money that they don't have to give back to just participate in the process of rebuilding the economy. Hennessy was giving $1,500 away to small businesses. So, and that's probably because they got hundreds of millions in PPE money that they can't justify. So they're giving it away. I don't know. But to answer your question, there's a lot of stuff out there. You got to start researching, start talking to people who would be best to help you with those grants and stuff and how to apply for it. But I would say start at the Small Business Administration in your local area. And if they don't have any direct answers for you, ask them, do they have any accountants that they work with that are receptive to working with small, new companies and new entrepreneurs. And so you can at least get some questions answered and things like that when it comes to grants. Yes, I will need the information. How much do I purchase it? Also, do this apply for the state of Indiana? Absolutely. All our products, programs, and services are designed for uh, are designed nationwide and Canada. So if you're in Canada or you're in the States, all of our products and services are for you, are made for you. And all the details is on the post of I'll post it again, the business bundle. I'm posting it right now here in the comment section so y'all can see it. Great information. Thank you. Thank you. How much is the administration? So if you're talking about the administrative side of it, if you want us to do your state specific licensing and stuff, that's an extra 200 on top of the business bundle. Great information, very thankful, helpful. Yes, but I want to build business credit. Okay, Kendra, business credit. The site that you want to start on is called Dun and Brad. It's called Dun and Brad. DUNN and like and Brad, like two different people.com. Start there, register with them, and that's how you start your business credit journey with them. Can we have a living caregiver? Yep. Is there a ratio? Oh, she said I already answered the question. Good. So let's go to the next one. The residence room, temperature, common area, bathroom, kitchen, fire emergency requirements. So when we're thinking about this stuff, so let's start with the residence room. What does the room should have? What should each resident have in their room? A twin size bed, a lamp, a nightstand, a dresser, a chair, and a safe, a lockbox. Each resident, whether it's going to be a single, semi-private, or private room, it has to have enough space for all of those pieces of furniture can fit in there and it can move around safely. So, a bed, a twin bed, a dresser, a chair, a nightstand, a lamp, a safe are things that the state requires. But then also, if your state doesn't have those requirements, these are the things that the bare minimum I would suggest that you have in there for your residents. Temperature. There's temperature requirements. We all live in different parts of the country. So I really don't know what there are in other states and stuff like that. But in the summer, it can't get less than, it can't get no hotter than like 70 degrees. And then in the winter, it can't get no colder than like 70 degrees. And sometimes families and people want more. So we can, we put, we allow them to have space heaters and things like that. Oh, and we don't allow no smoking in the facility, period. So that's a personal choice based on just, you want to keep as many people as safe as possible. And I just thought about that real quick. So I just wanted to throw that in. Um, as far as common areas, you just want to make sure you have grab bars and rails. Every is where anywhere somebody can fall or they have to walk, like hallways and stuff like that. Like living room, they got the couches and stuff, but if there's open areas where they can fall and they need to walk, just make sure that there's a rail. And even sometimes you don't have to have like a big rail, even just like crown molding, like the molding that you could buy for just for the looks that people put like on their walls. They had this long strip of wood, like that's crown molding. You could get a nice piece of crown molding to match your look of your property. This kind of sticks out. That makes this could be used to kind of hold on to, just if you just worried about the aesthetics and the look of it. But if that's not an issue, it's something you definitely, either way, whether you're worrying about the aesthetics or not, you want to make sure you have the proper um rails and stuff like that. And then when you're thinking about the floors, you don't want to, a lot of people houses, they got all these nightstand, I mean like these little tables, end tables, lamps, and just all these extra decorative things that can cause somebody to trip, like area rugs. You don't want to have no area rugs and stuff like that, with the rugs that we could flip up and somebody would trip with a walker or a wheelchair, or just somebody who's walking slow can trip up. So you want to make sure there's no impediments to walking and things like that just in the property. Um, and this is pretty much a common areas. The bathroom, obviously, you want to make sure you got grab bars, you got the raised seat, over the toilet if necessary. If you don't have to have it in all the time, at least have it to where it could be put there quickly for a resident if needed. Shower. You want to make sure you have a chair in there, and the thing, the spout that comes down, not just the one to shoot down, but the one that you can grab, a caregiver can grab, or the resident can grab and sit down and wash themselves up, and then put it back. And then you make sure you got all the the proper grab bars and the safety stuff in the bathroom so they won't fall. Um, Always making sure the floor is clean and dry, and when they're taking baths and things like that. So um that's it. We don't put none of the like cleaning supplies and things like that. You don't want none of the type of chemicals. A lot of families, they store that kind of stuff in their personal bathrooms. You don't want to do none of that. You want all the residents to keep their hygiene products and stuff in their own room and bring them out as needed, and then take them back with them. Same like when they bathe and things like that. So these are some of the things you want to think about when you're talking about the bathrooms. Um, Same with the kitchen. You really don't want your residents going in there getting their own things. That's what the caregivers are there for. So um, you want to kind of have that as a, I don't know, it's up to you, but that's kind of like how we like to do it. We don't want just anybody in the refrigerator just getting what they want. If they want something, they can just ask. There's somebody always here, so they always can ask. Um, the menus are posted, so they know what they're gonna eat. The times of meals are posted, so they know what time they're gonna eat, and things like that. So, and then again, you're going to have your fire emergency stuff in place, so you can keep your property safe. And for fires, like we always want to keep a fire extinguisher in the kitchen. So fire, a fire detector and smoke detectors and everything like that as well. So And then obviously when you talk about fire emergencies, the fire inspection, they cover a lot of that stuff during that process with you as well. So that's pretty much it when it comes to like the resident room, the temperature, common areas, the bathroom, kitchen, fire emergency requirements. If you guys have any questions about that, let me know. Do I allow them to have a personal refrigerator? I wouldn't mind that, but they gotta supply it themselves. And as long as it makes sense for the room that they're in, and it doesn't, get in the way of any other thing. I'm not worried about, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I have never had that request, but I wouldn't be opposed to it if it made sense. So let's keep it moving. Here we're talking about policies and procedures, the residents, the keeping your records, delegate nurse manager, alternate training for all staff. So I guess the only thing I didn't really touch on this slide is hold on. Okay. So policies and procedures. This could be really complicated, and we went over this policy, the assisted living policies and procedures, a couple days ago. So you could look wherever this video is, wherever all the page videos, you'll find it in our our most recent live, our first most recent live when I started discussing the business bundle. So I've done about 3 or 4 lives so far, but if you go back to the first one, I break down all the policies and procedures that are in the assisted living business kit. So if you watch that and you want some more information about the policies, the actual policies and stuff, that's on that video. We can't get into it today. It's just too much. I have here each resident. So you also want to make sure each resident has their own needs and their own, personality and things like that. But then they also have their own, you got to make sure they, everyone is under contract with you. So you got to make sure you have a great contract with the family and, and the resident as far as, the pay, their rights, their rights to refuse different things, just everything that they need. They have to have, everything has to be well documented and keep and in safekeeping as far as like their records and their charts like that. Um, we talked about the delegate nurse, manager, and the alternate manager. What we didn't really discuss is the training. Um, there are some trainings that we provide our staff above and beyond what the state requirements are. And there's some websites out there, like there's the Institute of Professional Care Education is one of them. There's another one that is state specific for the trainings just in Maryland. And but the Institute of Professional Care Education and like I was saying yesterday, Home Care Pulse, it has partnered with a training company as well. And they primarily, both of these companies primarily focus on home care training, but they do have some trainings in there for assisted livings and stuff like that. And then if you Google assisted living caregiver training, you'll find some different stuff out there. So it's a lot of different things out there to keep your staff trained up. And I'm very big on making sure my staff is constantly that's in a continued educational environment. They're always learning new things. So that means they're bringing new ideas and new thoughts and new understandings to what we're doing. And that's helpful for us. So, and it makes them feel good about themselves as well. That's a recruitment strategy. And it can be a recruitment strategy and a retention strategy when you think about making sure everybody's trained. And then obviously the families benefit, the clients benefit, the residents benefit, because the staff is constantly getting better. So the residence agreement, you know, you just, you know, you negotiate the best you can for the things that you want, for the race that you want, the things that you know are going to include, the things you're not going to include. Um, they're they each resident has to get an assessment, a physical, whatever their practitioners is, you know, whether they're, you know, they get it from a doctor. I prefer a doctor, but sometimes they get their their nurse practitioners to do their assessment. So, but we want their, you know, their most recent assessments. We have to get their most recent assessments before um, moving them in. We send our nurse to do our own independent assessment, but we also want to get their doctors most recent assessment based on their, you know, checkup before they come into one of our facilities. Um, we got a level of care scoring guide, so you got to know exactly what level of care each resident is at. That's also in our assisted living business startup kit, which you can get through the business bundle at an extremely discounted rate right now. So the documents of the residents representation. So like who's the power of attorney, who's the POA, you know, who's paying, like who's the responsible party, because the resident is usually not the responsible party over their care after a certain point, obviously, right? So we need the documentations of, you know, certain documentation that you got to have, you know, when it comes to your residents, family, the physician's orders, and if they have any rehabilitation plans, and then their burial arrangements. Like all of this stuff has to be in their file. This is stuff that you have to have in place before admission, and these are some of the things that you need to make sure you know what you're doing when you approaching this stuff. And again, that's why I'm on here helping you guys and helping you guys out with this information and trying to point you in the right direction, make you aware of the opportunity, and also provide you with the documents and stuff that you need at a rate that's very affordable. So uh, this is as far as we going with this training this morning or this afternoon now. I'm glad you guys joined us today. Please take a look at the business bundle. If you haven't, share it. If there's anybody else who you feel like can benefit from this information, when I'm done with this video is going to save to the page. And I'm thinking what I think I'll do, because there's a few more things that I want to touch on as far as assisted living and independent living that I just won't have the time to get into today. But so there'll be a part 2. I'll probably do that sometime this weekend or on Monday. So if you want to come back and get some more information about residential assisted living, and then if you join this late, you can, once I log off, it'll save to the page. You can watch it through, get your questions together, and then come back on the next one, post your questions, and or post them here on this one, and I'll still see it, and then we'll try to answer them, your questions, when we do the part 2 of this particular presentation. Assisted living is not, something I could just run through and give you everything you need. So I want to take my time and make sure I'm actually covering this stuff and not just glossing over, and make sure you guys understand how important each one of these points are. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and jump off of here. Hopefully you guys have a great day. We'll be getting back to it really soon. Check out the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, Ultimate Senior Care Business Bundle. Check it out, share it, think about getting it. This is a tool that you can use to jumpstart 2021. You can start reading it, learning it, practicing it, discussing it with your peers, your potential partners. and just be that much further along and prepared to do this thing and be successful at it in the coming years. So hopefully you appreciate it. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the feedback. I'm enjoying having these conversations with you guys. So let's get to it. And we got a lot of day left. You can still, you can still purchase the program today. You can still get some things done. You could use some of the information that you learned here. Go do some research on your county website. Go reach out to some other facilities in the market that you think that you would like to be in. Call them, start their sales process, see what their prices are, see what they're doing, see how their marketing is, see how, look at their sales funnel, go through the sales funnel so you can better understand that process and use and learn what's going on and use it for when you get started to be better informed like that. So take this information and do something with it. That's all I'm basically saying. Just be activated. Don't sit here, get excited, and then when the thoughts, the excitement wears off and all the insecurities come back telling you all the reasons why it won't work, ignore that shit and do something. Start somewhere. If you don't know where to start, go go back to the podcast. Let me post the podcast on here. And if you're not familiar with the podcast, go check the podcast out. If you think, I haven't convinced you that we can help you and you want some more, convincing, if you want to get some more education from us and you just don't know where to start, go ahead and check out the podcast, jump on our YouTube page, jump on our website. It's a lot of free information out there that we provided. So, yeah, reach back out to us if you have any questions. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, stay masked up, and keep your distance. Have a good evening. Stay safe. Take good care of yourself. Peace.